Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Tamara Witham. She is a certified financial planner, solopreneur, owner of the independent registered investment advisory firm Green Life Advisors. Welcome to the show, Tamara.
Thank you, AJ. I'm so happy to be here with you.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form, Tamara. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about financial empowerment for diverse communities. But before we come to the communities part, let's talk about you, a bit about your journey so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Sure. Well, I've had a long journey in financial planning and analysis. I've worked for years, starting on Wall Street. My career started straight out of business school, working in what I think of traditional finance jobs for business school graduates. I worked in a sales and trading job at Bank of America initially. And then I decided I didn't really love sales. So I went over to the buy side. What that means is asset management firms. Some of the names that your listeners might be familiar with, like Goldman Sachs Asset Management, PIMCO, which is Pacific Investment Management. And there I was working with institutional investors, really explaining portfolio performance and positioning. And these types of clients that I was working with were working for foundations, and, pension plans, institutional investors. And I decided I really wanted something working straight with a individual investor. I wanted to work really with people directly and have impact on their lives. So I switched over after those years into financial planning, personal finance. And I started that in 2017, and I started my own firm, which is a registered investment advisory firm, Green Life Advisors. And I'm a solo practitioner, and I love it. I work with lots of clients from varied backgrounds, and that's what really makes it so interesting to me. It's not just American-born folks, it's people from all over the world, including India.
Absolutely. And that's so wonderful to learn, Tamara. So I want to understand, means why so much of focus on first generation American and foreign born clients. So help us understand this focus so that,
Yeah. Well, there's a real need. I think in America, a lot of communities are what I think of as underserved. So people that are looking to make money off of commissions and sales referrals are usually looking for, let's say, people that are going into their retirement years and might really be American born. But here I found that there's a lot of need for people that are initially coming into the United States that might not have the same kind of background. Our financial systems within the United States are quite complex. There's all sorts of things you really need to know. It's quite a maze when you think about it, whether it's building credit to be able to take out a loan or even get a job, because oftentimes credit scores are used in financial background checks, to understanding our tax system, which is, ever complex. It just keeps on getting more complex by the day. Things are always changing there. And these things really impact people's lives. And so when people actually initially come to the United States, or maybe even have been here, but their parents may be foreign born, there's so much to learn. And I found that working with people like that, these communities have really, there's a need there, and also are quite underserved from the financial planner universe.
Right, right, Tamara. So I want to understand for the audience what are the things that
Yeah, so there's really a process that we go through when someone contacts me, and it's really to uncover where the holes in their financial plan may be. So, for example, we do a deep dive right away before mostly people become clients to really understand and draw out where the holes are. And I like to joke that I'm a financial detective. I put on my detective hat and I pour through their financial statements. And we use software also to start examining where the holes may be. For example, people might be looking at insurance. And in America, it's oftentimes that you need to buy or supplement worker provided life insurance, especially for someone that has dependents that need their income in case someone passes away. What are your dependents going to do there? So we examine things like how much insurance is necessary for somebody, what types of insurance. Oftentimes, there's folks in the insurance community that might be promoting high cost, high commission products. And what I really focus on is making sure we keep costs as low as possible. I don't get any kind of fees by recommending products like term life insurance, for example. And so that's very common. Another place to think about when people come here is estate planning. What type of documents do you have in place? And it's not just having a will, which needs to explicitly express your wishes, but there's things like power of attorney and guardianship type documents, a whole host depending on the specific individual and the family's needs. And we make sure that those documents are in place. And oftentimes people come to me and they don't have anything in place and don't understand that in America, when you're going through the process, let's say your spouse dies without any documentation in place, you could be going through a very lengthy probate process where you need to, have a judge and the state be looking through and deciding in many cases the situations that you yourself want to have in place in advance.
Right, Tamara. So, in terms of underserved communities, who are they? Means, are they people only from outside, or even within the U.S. there might be a lot of people who are underserved? In every sector, if you see, we have these underserved communities, especially in the financial sector. You see, a lot of the system has been designed that it only helps with people who have got lots of money, and it is, I guess, not only in one place. Even in countries like India, I sometimes myself feel that uh, the best services are only reserved for the people. For a general person, they will have to keep running here and there to get their grievances addressed.
Yeah, so there are people that may be ignored by the traditional financial advisor community. And I was hoping to capture some of those people that may not be able to um, be targeted by these traditional advisors. And so there are organizations that support fee-only advisors. And what that means is, you know exactly what you're paying upfront to a fee-only advisor. We're only about 2% of the advisor community, a very small percentage. And many of those fee-only advisors charge on an hourly basis. And so for someone that may not be able to afford a full year of financial planning, and you might have one or two questions that might be worthwhile consulting with a financial planner, an hourly planner might be the way to go. I, in particular, also offer this hourly financial planning service. And oftentimes, if someone decides as we get into the weeds that they actually need more than just an hourly service, then you could always convert over to a full year on an ongoing basis. And so, oftentimes the traditional model in the US has been assets under management. And assets under management means you need assets. But there's a whole host of people that are young, let's say, and don't have accumulated assets to manage, but may be able to afford financial planning and to have to think about all these different areas of, planning for their, young children's college future or private schools, or, even budgeting, like on a day-to-day basis, even not even thinking about the future, but how do I manage my budget? How do I think about consolidating some debt that I might have from student loans? That's very common. And these high income earners within the US cannot necessarily get the attention that they need through an assets under management model. So that's really why we look at flat fee or hourly financial planning as being so valuable to these folks that have really been ignored previously.
Right, right, Tamara. Now, you say that in the financial advisory world, and even I understand this, incentives and information are often not aligned with the client's best interest and goals. So, as an independent person, individual, how do I know who is the right person, who is the wrong person? I don't know about all these numbers, so I believe them. It's a purely trust people on face, take people on face value. How do I know that the advisor that I've got is telling me right or wrong, or is looking at his or her interest rather than my interest?
Yeah.
Are there ways to do that?
It's hard to know. And the bottom line that I think the clearest cut, and of course I'm biased because I am a fee only advisor, but the reason I chose to become a fee only advisor is it is the clearest way for a client to understand that their advisor is looking after their best interests. There's really no hidden incentives where you might have that with a fee-based or an assets-only management advisor. And so for someone to start out and know that they're looking for a fee-only advisor, it's very clear and transparent what you're paying. You know exactly upfront, there's nothing hidden. And so you can have the comfort going through the relationship that nothing has changed, that there's any kind of recommendation I will make to you. Let's say, like my earlier example, okay, you might need term insurance to cover your children in the event that you pass. Well, guess what? I'm not making any money, and you never have to question that I'm making any kind of kickback or fee off of that recommendation. Whereas if you were working with a fee-based advisor or an assets under management advisor, that kind of question would always maybe coming in the back of your head. And why have that kind of uncertainty when you're working with someone? You want to have full trust in your advisor. And so that was the reason that, just in sum, that I created my firm in this type of structure, was to be a fee-only advisor and be that trusted source of information and advice for my clients.
Right, right, Tamara. Now, a lot of people also go online to search for information regarding almost a lot of information is there. And when information is there, then there is also a lot of misinformation. And nowadays, even in the podcasting world, or this whole new concept of influencers are there. Some people give a lot of good advice, some people do not. And those things have been questioned also. Even in India, there have been a lot of debates about this. So how should, again, a general person look at this online part of things whenever they are looking at information? Is there a way to understand what they're reading is correct or not correct? Are there registered places which are ones you think that they are more trustworthy for them?
Yeah, I mean, there are studies out about particularly what I call the younger generation. If they're younger than I am, we call them Gen Z, let's say, or even millennials. A lot of them source their financial information through the internet and online and social media. And in essence, this information is pretty unregulated. There's a little bit, the regulators might have been focusing a little bit on crypto. You can read some of the enforcement actions there. But on the whole, this area has been largely unregulated. And for folks going online to get their information, they're not necessarily vetting the sources because maybe they just don't even know who to trust. And so, they hear, someone promoting, oh, I was just like you 10 years ago, and here I have millions of dollars. Well, I take a step back and say, well, maybe that was just luck. Maybe you didn't really have a strategy. Maybe you don't have the background. But I think a lot of people aren't going through the exercise of making sure that their sources are reliable sources. And so I had started recently on YouTube. I started a channel, which is something very new to me, Tamara on the Money. And I'm trying to be one of those certified financial planners, or CFP, that is online that can really be a source of reliable, trusted information. And there are other channels, other CFPs on there that you also can refer to that are reliable sources of information. And I've tuned in and watched some of my fellow CFPs, and I think that they're doing a fantastic job because video is such a wonderful way to communicate to a larger audience. And a lot of people outside of the people that are paying us as clients really can benefit from this knowledge. And there are some sources out there, including my own channel, that is looking to raise financial literacy for all. And it's really a big task because there are so many finfluencers, and they call themselves money coaches, that simply, if you look at their backgrounds, they might have come from a totally different background. They don't have any degree in finance. They're certainly not certified financial planners. And I really scratch my head on how they have such a great following. Maybe it's more entertainment than actual financial advice. But I do believe that there are a lot of younger people, especially, but maybe in Gen Y and Gen X, and maybe even the boomer generation, that are listening to people online in YouTube and other sources, Instagram, TikTok, that are getting their financial information and acting upon it from these sources. And I just say, beware, really look for someone with the CFP marks that maybe can give you a better base of information to make your own decisions.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, it is your money, and you have to be much aware about.
Yeah, ultimately, it's the individual bears the responsibility, and pretty much everybody online on these channels that is a registered investment advisor or a CFP will always have the disclaimers that this is just for general information purposes and this is not individualized advice. And so if you read through these disclaimers, you'll really get the sense that you have to make your own decisions as an investor.
Absolutely. So for those people who would want to learn more from you, about you, want to be your client, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, they can reach me a few different ways. You can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Tamara on the Money. And I have links also to my website, my business website, which is greenlifeadvisors.com. And we have a free download PDF for the 5 biggest mistakes that investors can make.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much, AJ. I appreciate it.